We're gonna try this again. What's up, Pico? I'm sorry, y'all. My phone rung while I was live, and for some reason, once the phone rings, it like throws everything off on the live. So um, I apologize for that. So we're gonna try this again. Uh, Lavelle, hey, how you doing? How you doing? I am doing well. I'm doing well. So we're gonna try to pick up where we left off. Really didn't get started. I don't even know what y'all heard because I was sitting up here talking and I kept asking if it was buffering and nobody was answering. So I'm not even sure what you guys heard um, on that end. So I really just wanted to have some real conversations because, hey Lisa, how you doing? I have, you guys know I don't get into all the legalities and you stuff that has been going on because it's not worth the arguments. It's not people don't want to really hear what you have to say if unless it goes along with what they're saying. Y'all know how this stuff goes. So, but I wanted to have some real conversations with you guys because I have been able to hear part of the transcripts. I actually um, was on Atmos page today and yesterday, and I was listening to the reading of the transcripts, and I'm listening, and I would be lying to you guys if I said that some of the stuff um, didn't cause some discomfort for me. Um, and I really want to see like where you guys like where are you um in all of this. I haven't really said anything about what has happened like either way because my thing has always been due process. You're innocent until proven guilty. We had a situation where, there was one thing where the person was found guilty. So that's why I haven't commented on it anymore because if I'm going off what I say, then there's nothing else for me to say on that particular topic because if you're innocent until proven or found guilty, then there's nothing else for me to say on that. Who am I to go and say something either way if I'm going to operate within the confines of the law and of this system? Um, what's going on right now? I'm going to say I'm a bit conflicted. I'm a bit conflicted, number one, because I um I can appreciate talent, I can appreciate music. I also come from a clinical side of it. And coming from that clinical side, I understand how there is a domino effect that when one thing happens, then that one thing affects the next thing, and that thing affects the next thing, and that thing affects the next thing. So that's why I don't get into conversations about or even arguments whenever people say, well, if this happened to this person, well, they should have done this. And if this happens, that they should have did it. I don't get into those conversations because I actually work on the other side of that. So, um, one of the things that people couldn't understand about what I was doing from the beginning, if somebody is accused of something, how can you still work with that person? How can you still deal with that person? How can you still support? that person. My thing is, like I told you guys before, I have to work with everybody. So it doesn't matter what a person may be accused of. Um, hey, Alicia, how you doing? I pray that all is well with you. It doesn't matter what a person is accused of. It doesn't even matter what a person has done. Um, I'm not in the position where, as far as me helping someone or advocating for people or whatever, I'm not the one that goes and turn my back on people. Um, I have to understand where they are now as well as where they came from. So I have to look at it from all angles. Um, so with that being said, I in no way, shape, or fashion, and it's at the point now where I've said, and I know this is probably going to turn some people off, but it wouldn't be right if I wasn't honest with you guys. So I need to make sure that I say this, and I've said it before, but I need to make sure that I repeat myself. I don't support any behavior that causes any type of harm to not just a child, but to an adult as well, but definitely a child. Um, that's not going to be something that I ever support. Now, can I work with an individual that may have, done something? I absolutely can. That's my job. But for me, I guess this is where I may be different from a lot of people because I know a lot of people say, well, if this happened to this person, well, they got money, they should have been fixed. Right, Pico, everybody, everybody. And Lord have mercy. Let me get back on that. Um, I think we have to remember that when it comes to trauma, a lot of people have a lot of opinions when it comes to trauma, and everybody's an expert when it comes to trauma. Just because you have been through trauma, that doesn't necessarily mean that you understand the next person's trauma, how they deal with it, how they should deal with it, if they should be over it, when they should be over it, those things. So for me, I look at everything in its totality, right? I don't When I hear that V word, that victim word, I don't see like one victim. I recognize victimhood all the way around. And just because I may feel a certain way about one particular situation, to me that doesn't eliminate the fact that the victimhood still exists, and it's a cycle of behavior. It's a cycle of behavior. And a couple things that I look at some point, you have to be strong enough. You have to be built, be able to have the wherewithal to try to break the cycle. But part of breaking that cycle is understanding that you have your own issues that you are dealing with, and not just acknowledging that you have those issues, but being able and willing to confront those issues. That's that's one of the first things that we have to talk about. But I also need people to understand this as a clinician myself. Just because you go and talk to a clinician, we got skills. Okay, we got skills, but we're not miracle workers. And just because we work with a person or talk to a person, that doesn't automatically make everything disappear. It's bigger than that. And we have to think about the levels of things that people have gone through. I explained to you guys at one point that I had stuff happen to me by one of my family members for several years. The way I handled the situation was completely different than my cousin, who was also had something done to her by that same. Well, he's my cousin, he's her uncle. We handled those situations completely different. I still don't think too well. I know she deals with her situation the best way that she knows how to deal with her situation, but we handle them completely different. So you have some people in my family that look at her and they see her actions and they have so much to say about her. Well, why could she do this? How did she do that? Why is this going on? She shouldn't be doing this. She should know better. And everybody's trying to speak on what she has going on and even what I had going on. She, even though we experienced something similar with my cousin, her uncle, she also had other stuff that was going on that she had to deal with when she stayed in Philly. So our levels, like, we're not responding because we, like, literally, even though we there's some similarities in our stories, we dealt with and we experience things completely different. We do have a bond there, but still, at the end of the day, we experience things completely different. Now, the difference is one of the major differences between us is the stuff that happened to me. It made me go into the field that I'm in today because I wanted to know why. I wanted to understand. But that is not to say that to this day that I don't still have days, that I don't still have moments, but I choose to deal with things a certain way. But I would be lying to you that if I told you that it did not affect me as an adult, that would be a bald-faced lie. If I told you that things that happened with my cousin and the way she's handled things and her family and stuff like that, somebody from the outside looking in that didn't know her story, they would have a lot to say about her. They would have a lot to say. They got a lot to say. Even people that know just small parts of the story. So I'm looking at the whole thing, and honestly, I've had several conversations. My conversations have been um, offline, um, talking with family and different things, and I know even with this conversation that somebody will run and say, "Oh, Dr. Ryder said blah 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 blah." I need people to understand that any feelings that I've had about anything from the beginning, my feelings have always been stated to the people that matter. Not saying that y'all don't matter, but to the people that matter. Um, it it was understood. I never bit my tongue about how I felt about a situation. So my thing is, oh, I don't think so, Angela. From what I heard, because like I said, I was on Atmos Love's page because they were reading it over there, so I was just listening. I heard a few things, and for me personally, like the part that I came in on, um, I don't even think it's at the point yet where you can honestly say that stuff went bad or that stuff went good. Now, when it came to the young lady that said something yesterday and it carried on into today, um, that's something that people can speak on. But I feel like people's perceptions of that um, are completely different depending on who you support. My thing is, at the end of the day, it's not for me to support this one or to support that one. I'm looking at what's real, what actually happened. Like I'm looking and I'm putting everything together. I'm looking at the stuff that makes sense. I'm looking at the stuff that doesn't make sense, and that's what I'm basing my opinions, my thoughts, my beliefs on. I can't base it on other people's opinions and other people's emotions and stuff of that nature. I oh my goodness. Um I hear people say things, and in the midst of them saying things, they don't realize that they're saying something. Um, and there's this thing, this phrase that we use about there being some there. So let me go back to what Pico said for a minute. A lot of people are talking right now. One of the things I got out of what this young lady said when asked, okay, why are you saying something now? It was something, and I'm not quoting her directly because I didn't see the stuff. Well, I saw it on the screen, but somebody else was reading it. Um, that she, basically got tired of holding on to the lies. So of course, you have the people that are commending her for coming out and speaking her truth. And then you have the people that are saying, no, you're a liar. It's 20 something years later. And then that question comes up about, the delayed responses and stuff like that. And then that's when the experts come in and they say, no, um, if this happened, it shouldn't have taken you this long. You're lying. If it happened, and this was even something that the attorney was going back and forth with the one of the expert witnesses. He was going back and forth with the expert witness. She was going back and forth with the expert witness on this, like, talking about different studies that were done, different research that was done. At the end of the day, and I feel very strongly about this being someone who has worked with both the victim as well as the perpetrator. There's no time frame. I know legally there may be a time frame, but I don't feel like if you're not in a particular situation, there's no time frame on when you decide that you want to speak up about something that you felt happened to you, if you felt like you were done wrong. And I challenge people to think about this because I try to look at the situation objectively. So I honestly try to see it from this side, this side, this side, and this side. I want to look at it from all angles. And I know that that upsets people. I know that probably piss people off. But somebody has to be like a voice of reason in the middle. And I guess my thing is when people talk about victims of this and victims of that, I had to look, I'm going to say sides for the purposes of this video. Um, it's, I don't think it's fair. Let me say that word for this victimization to get recognized and this victimization to not get recognized. Now, see where I'm going with this. I don't think it's right for people to say that, this particular female should have spoke up before then, right? But then on this side, you have the alleged perpetrator who had all these things done to him, and he didn't speak up until he was an adult. I need y'all to see like the parallels in all of this because the same argument that people can make on one side is the same argument that people can make on the other side. Like that's what I'm saying when somebody, well, it can't be this because of this. But then these people over here can say, well, no, it can't be this because of this. And I'm like, y'all do realize that it's the same thing, different situations, but it's basically the same thing. But at the end of the day, when it comes to something that happened to somebody, because just like this young um, lady, she got up, she said whatever she had to say. Now she has an aunt that's coming out saying that she lied on her. Um, So my question would be, because I saw the video that the aunt did, I watched it before I went live, and the aunt is basically saying, it's a family situation, that there's some manipulation involved. So now it's like it has me questioning as a clinician, is this a continued cycle of manipulation now? So you went through your situation, and have you truly dealt with your situation if you are bringing somebody else into something? And at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't know if her whole story is the truth. We don't know about what the aunt had going on. Like, Like, we don't know. We don't know everything that happened with this like, nobody knows. A lot of people are putting things out there. There are a lot of allegations that are being thrown out there. Oh, well, if he did this, he probably, touched his kids too. That's not something to be putting on somebody. That's no different than somebody saying, "Oh, well, they did this, well, they were hoes." Like, it's just a lot of stuff, and me looking at it clinically. Me looking at it from a clinical angle, I see a lot of similarities in all of them. I see a lot of similarities in all of them, and even down to the manipulation. Now, if I'm gonna be honest with y'all, y'all probably not gonna like this. All of them are manipulators, him included. All of them are manipulators. Now, whether one learned to manipulate from this one or this one learned to manipulate from that one, you got a bunch of manipulators. A lot of people have manipulated situations for their own personal benefit. You have people that have got upset because stuff hasn't went the way that they wanted it to go, and it stuff started to go left. That wasn't just a female thing. That was all the way around. Now, I can tell you that as a clinician, I can recognize a controlling individual. Those are the things that I made sure that I didn't touch on because I wasn't trying to have the back and forth with people about stuff that I saw. And I'm still not going to have the back and forth on that. And some people could agree to a certain extent, yeah, yeah, controlling, and they laugh about it. But still, at the end of the day, all of that is a part of it. And a lot of people speak on it, but a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, they're saying, oh, these girls got manipulated. And hear people, they keep alluding to Stockholm syndrome and all this stuff. And it's really being used in the wrong context. It's really being used in the wrong context. But a lot of people don't realize that they get manipulated on the daily. In this whole situation, the manipulation goes all the way around. The mental play, it goes all the way around. It's not just in a courtroom. It goes all the way all the way around. I do not agree on any levels. I do not agree with anybody going after that young lady. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to agree with that. Just like I didn't agree with anybody going after the other young ladies. You don't know their stories. You do not know their stories. And I don't agree with us sitting here feeling like we know people just because we know they're not like you don't know what people have going on. You don't know what's happening in my house. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Am I gonna sit here and argue with you about what somebody got going on? Absolutely not. I'm not. I don't know what they got going on. They could be this person with me and be a completely different person when I'm not around. And yes, I have seen it. I have seen it. Just like misconstrued instead of misconstrued. Pico, but that misconstrued is a good word because I mean it's all screwed up. Exactly. It's I want people to, I'm hoping, not want, I'm hoping that people get out of the emotions of it all and just really look at everything that's going on. Just look at everything that's going on. Um, Me personally, I believe that there's a reason why he is able to remain calm. I believe there's a reason why he told people from the beginning to trust the process. And I've said this before. Um, Only him and the people that he was dealing with, they're the only ones that know. what was going on, what did or what didn't go on. He's the only one that knows what his perception of what was going on actually was at that particular time. A lot of people can come out here and speculate. That's what all this stuff is. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of speculations, hearsay, just a bunch of stuff being put out there. Um, it's it's just a lot. It's a lot. And before I go any further, we got at least 40 people in the chat. We got 18 likes. So before I go and talk my talk, if y'all don't mind hitting that like button, please hit that like button. Um, but like I said, I was in the chat. Actually, I looked at a couple chats to see what people had to say and tried to, put a little spin on it, try to be like objective and whatever I've heard. I've seen a lot of people make a lot of valid points. Um, I do think that whoever it is at that point is messy, at the point is like just rude, disrespectful, then even if you make a good point, it loses its power. So that would be one thing that I would think that people would really think about. Like, you can make the best point in the world, but if it's, you know what I'm saying, if it got a F you and whatever behind it, then it loses um its effectiveness. But for me, all I know is that I didn't see it, Angela, and that's another thing too. Let me speak on that really quick. I was hearing today that even before all this stuff kicked off, that law enforcement, has saw the tape before, all this stuff kicked off, and this is basically how it kicked off. Um, and before that, like, charges were made anonymously and nothing happened, right? Um, and then somebody like magically gave him the tape. He saw the tape, and it sounds like things basically went um, from there. Let me say something about that. And y'all probably not gonna like this. I promise you probably not gonna like this. I'm hearing a lot of people say, "Well, I saw the tape and I saw this and I saw that." Well, let me tell you something. The first thing is you need to be careful about saying that in public before you be sitting up in there with him trying to defend yourself. That's the first thing. Because if you saw it, if you were in possession of it, then you basically in the same boat that he is right now in this particular instance. Because that's not legal. If what, because I haven't seen it, so I can't say what, I ain't never tried to see it. They ain't have nothing to do with me. If it's something that you viewed as an adult, honestly, you committed a crime. Facts. You committed a crime. And I know that over the years, like, a lot of people laughed it off and laughed about what they saw on there and all that stuff. But like, even down to the comedians that were talking about it, nobody's really thinking. And see, it's like you do see a lot of selective rage when it comes to this stuff because you can get mad with the person that made it and they have to suffer their consequences. But what if you have to suffer some consequences for watching it? Because that's a crime. That's a crime. So when I hear people talking about stuff, I'm like I said, I'm looking at it from all angles, and I'm like, but you realizing that what you said that makes you like if somebody wanted to make an issue out of you saying that you watched this thing as an adult, then you will be in somebody's courtroom too. So that's what you have to be mindful, because if that's what's actually on there and people are saying, "Yeah, we know, I saw it. I saw a couple of them. I saw this one, I saw that one." You gotta make sure you understand what you're saying. And if you sat there, and that's what I'm saying, again, I'm looking at it from all angles, because if you sat there and you watched it, and that was something that made it out to the public, then what would people say about you? What would be said about you? How would you defend that if you got pulled up? If we have the technology like we have now, because they can see what you watching on everything. Like how would you account for the fact that you were watching? I'ma leave the middle letter out, but that PRN, if that's what was on there. Do you see what I'm saying? Hold up, Lavelle, let me yeah. Outside of professionalism, we serve a God that revealed things to us in life. Hold on. In life, yet sometimes won't allow us to speak on it until he says so. You handle it well. That's why I call you Olivia Pope. Lavelle, to be honest with you, that's what they call me at work too. I'm the Olivia Pope at the job. Like I figure it out. Um, I just I think at some point, you support what you want to support, you argue against what you want to argue against. At some point, some reality has to set in. You have to be realistic about some things. And realistically, I think that we all know that there's a problem. There's a problem. How deep that problem goes is something else. Sugar baby, what's going on? How deep that problem goes is something else. But I don't think, and I would never think, I would never be okay with going after that young lady. I'm sorry, y'all, regardless. And yes, she may be grown now, but no, no. It's like some of the most outlandish stuff is the stuff that people believe. And then the stuff that, like, oh, that sound like it might have a little truth to it. That's the stuff that people just throw away, like, "No, they lying. There ain't no way that could be true because of this, because of that. Look at how that person look. They would never deal with that person." Let me tell you something that I learned. I'm a tomboy from day one. I have always hung around guys, and the one thing I learned from my brothers and the guys that I hang around is that coochie don't have a face. Yes, I said coochie. Coochie does not have a face. So whenever something like that is being said, and me hating, I'm sitting up there like, you got that all twisted. That's what I'm saying. We have to be careful. We got to be careful about the stuff that we think that we know. And you also have to be careful coming after people, because you don't know a person's situation. You don't know what people have to go through, what they had to go through. And you have the saying, people say where there's smoke, there's fire. Not saying that everything that people put out there may be true. Princess family will not let harm come to. Hold on. Ugh. He will not let harm come to them. Family, his blood took his image. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. I, this is what I believe, and I'm going to say this is what I know because I've seen it for myself. Um, in high school. Yeah, I said coochie, Lavelle. Um, and I told you guys this before. My best friend in high school. Um, Now I was young. I graduated at 17. My best friend in high school, she was 2 years. Was she 2 years? She was 2 years behind me. She was 16, but she was 2 grades um, behind me. And after we would leave basketball practice, or after the basketball games or whatever, we walked to her house. And we had little guys trying to holler at us or whatever, but we had two dudes, two older dudes. One was trying to holler at me, one was trying to holler at her. And they were in their 30s. Now, mind you, I'm 17, she's 16. Me personally, I was disgusted with the fact that that 30-something-year-old wanted to holler at me. Like, sit, like, ew. He was cute, but no. But the other younger girl, what's up, Don K? The other younger girls, like, they just loved them. And they were able to get the young girls because they had the money, they had the nice car. They were dope boys. They had the nice cars, they had the stuff I just won't falling for. I laugh at them and keep on going. And plus, my older brother that's deceased now, he was about that life. So they weren't gonna fool with me too much because they didn't want to have to deal with him. My friend, that was a different story. Like, even unbeknownst to me, she didn't even let me know. She started dealing with one of the dudes. And I mean dealt with him for a long time. And the only reason why I know, the only reason like how I found out is I'm going to her house looking for her one day. She had lied and told her grandma that she was with me. Anyway, it was a big story, but I mean she had been kicking it with dude for a minute. Like for a minute. And I'm wondering like where you getting all this extra money from? Because I worked at McDonald's and I had got her a job at McDonald's and I know we weren't making nothing but 5.25 an hour. And but she was all for it, and once she started dealing with him, that opened up the door. That opened up the door, and she started dealing with other older men, and she was 16. So thank you, Russell. Um, and I need y'all to understand something because, and that's why I say I'm looking at this from all angles. I need y'all to understand something. Even though she was 16, she was the valedictorian of her class. Okay, this person, she was taking college courses when she was in the 10th grade. She was collecting college points. She was collecting college credits when she was in the 10th grade. And she knew exactly what she was doing. And when I said she was manipulating and calculating, she knew. I mean, shoot, she got over on me too. And I love her to this day. I love her to this day. But I'm saying that to say, at my age and at her age, we both understood. I understood that I wasn't gonna mess with that grown, rusty behind man because for me, when I was 17, you got worms. Okay, that's what we said. You got worms. You got worms. For her, all she saw was the money. That was it. She liked the money. She liked what they did for her. He'd take her, go get her some shoes, go get her some clothes, like whatever the case may be. Like that was her thing, and that's what she liked. Eventually, we ended up having a falling out about it because I checked her on it. I checked her on it, like you letting these guys use you and da 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 da. They ain't using me. I'm using them. So you see what I'm saying? So I say that to say I don't buy into you didn't know what you were doing and da 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 da. Now, when it comes to a certain age, when you talking about 12, 13, 14, I give some 15. We're gonna have a conversation about that. But when you get into those higher teens, there are different levels. There are different levels to things. So I'm sitting up here and I'm like, who is that? Darcy. Hey Darcy. So but I mean it's stuff that I saw. Now, Imma tell y'all with these guys, and they weren't the only ones that were doing it, but the thing is, they weren't the only ones that were doing it, and other people knew, and nobody thought they were creeps. Nobody. People were waiting in line to get with them. My friend wasn't the only one that dude was getting with, and the one that was trying to holler at me, I for darn sure wasn't the only one that he was trying to get with. But they had that dope boy money, so blowing money was nothing. Blow a little money, get a little tail. That was nothing for them. And they like getting these young girls. They didn't have to hang out at the high school. They hung out at the gas station because when people left the school and we left the games, everybody chilled up at the gas station. So all they had to do is, hang out at the gas station. Or in our community, hang out at the car wash. Everybody hung out at the car wash. So I'm looking at that. Now, if somebody were to see that now that we're in a different culture, then I'm pretty sure that somebody would, if somebody saw what they had going on, I guess they would be considered creeps. But nobody considered them creeps. So listen to what I'm saying. You got some 30 something year olds trying to get with 16, 17, and I don't know who else they done got with. I can just speak for us too, because I know what our ages were. And I don't even know if that was just my senior year. It might have been my junior year, so she could have been 15. I'm not even sure. Pico, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And I agree with that for women too. I agree with that for women too. I agree with that for women too. Um, so I get that's my thing. With that now, I'm gonna flip the tables on that because like I said, I've seen a couple different things because I had someone close to me that a female got actually two people that a female got upset with them and they accused them of some very lewd acts, very lewd, on some underage folks. And I mean, they got into some mess only to find out that it was a lie. And one of those things, actually three people, because one of the things that was put out, it was a daughter that said that about her dad. And the reason that she said it about her dad, we didn't find out till later, she felt like her dad loved her mom more than she loved her. So now we got to go and have a conversation with you that your dad is supposed to love your mom. Period. Your dad is supposed to love your mom. So we got a lot of different things now. On the flip side, you got somebody else that somebody said, you know, did something to her and nobody believed her. Some coaches, nobody believed her. The reason why nobody believed her was because she was promiscuous. Pretty girl, actually pretty girl, but she was promiscuous. So when she went and said that the coach was doing something to her, and it wasn't something that she didn't necessarily want done because she was actively participating in it, but it was a coach, two coaches, as a matter of fact. Um, and nobody believed her. I guess when stuff went south, nobody believed what she had to say. And what happened, she got upset because she felt like he was dealing with somebody else. So she told on him. She told on him. So once she told on them, the people that were in their class, they kind of knew because they saw her flirting with him. They didn't necessarily see him flirting with her, but they did have something going on. Um, but it was like the little boy who cried wolf. Nobody would believe her, and she was actually telling the truth. She was actually telling the truth, but nobody would believe her. It took it happening to somebody else. And for them reporting it, and actually, I think somebody walked in and the locker room, or what you call it, Jesus, um, the weight room, my bad. Somebody walked into the weight room and he had his hand in her shirt. And that's how the stuff finally came out. And now people, okay, well maybe she was telling the truth and whatever. So I mean the stuff like it goes it goes all the way around. Um I've said from the beginning, you have to be careful. It's not about what people did to you as much as it is what you allowed people to do, what kind of situations you put yourself in. And I've said from the beginning that I feel like a lot of bad decisions were made. A lot of bad decisions were made. Unfortunately, even though you may have straightened your life up, even though you may be on a better track now, that doesn't negate the fact that there are things that have been alleged, in the past. And that's usually how life works. You may go and you may have, gotten yourself together now, but you still have to deal with those demons from your past. And I feel like in this particular situation that may be some of what, right, Dom, some of what has been going on. And like I said, we tried to have these conversations before, and it's always somebody's calling somebody, yeah, let me tell you, Dr. Rogers said this, or Dr. Rogers believes such and such, or Dr. Like it's always been something like that. It's not about what I believe because at the end of the day, what I believe doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. I'm just I'm not going to be okay with somebody's child getting hurt. I don't care who it is. I'm not going to be okay with somebody's child getting hurt. I- sh- You could be anybody. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. And there are some things, at the end of the day, I know people saying, y'all stop bringing up God. But yeah, some things you're going to have to let God deal with because some things we are not meant to understand. We are not meant to understand. It's above us. It is above us. But one thing that I will say is I'm listening. And there are certain things that are like keywords. There are certain things that are triggers for me. And when I hear those things, it piques my interest. It like my antennas are going up and I'm like, okay, that's not good. That's not good. And this is why I say that we have to start thinking more so. We got to start thinking with our heads and use that intuition. Um, that we have been given and stop being so emotional when it comes to things because there are a lot of things I see errors um like around the whole situation. Like I said, I believe everybody was manipulating everybody. Everybody was using everybody for whatever they could get. I honestly and I don't think anybody involved has clean hands. Anybody. I don't think anybody involved has clean hands at all, at all. And that's why I say you still have a cycle. There's a pattern there. You have this young lady, even though this stuff happened to her, she committed a crime because she lied about stuff that happened. She lied. Not only did she lie to police, she lied to her parents. She was lying. And at the end of the day, it's something that she actually ended up suffering with herself because now you sitting here and you carrying a load now. And now it's yours but to do what in the situation. And now your choice is to either keep your mouth closed and go ahead and take some charges or go up here and say whatever we tell you you need to say and we'll let you go about your business. But what's going to happen with that? you're gonna have to embarrass yourself a little bit because now you're gonna have to tell these people the stuff that you had going on. So I think, there was some embarrassment that came with that, listening to the stuff that was read. You start crying whenever certain things get said because it's an embarrassment, especially, you don't want people to know certain things about you. So you're having to deal with that. But I'm gonna say that there had to be some relief from there too if you felt like you were holding something for so long. And this is the thing that I'm looking at. You still you support people. You support people, but we still have to like never forget, if you love somebody, if you have a genuine concern, if you care about somebody and you support them, don't stop supporting them. Don't stop supporting them, but don't support people in wrongness. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can still love somebody. Like, it could be your brother, your child, like, they're doing something and they're wrong, they're dead wrong. You still love them, but you don't support their acts. You don't support what they have going on. I need people like you can do that. You can do that. I it bothers me that we can see the wrong. We can see stuff happening with YouTubers. And the minute somebody says something, let me just go ahead and be honest with this one. Okay, you got people saying, okay, this happened with this person. And this not me getting in this person's situation or taking up from because I don't know what the deal is, but that ain't none of my business. But you got, oh, this one wrong. He did this, and we care about the children and we care about the babies. Well, if you care about them, then why don't you care about these over here that's making these allegations? That's why I don't get involved in that stuff because it's hypocritical to me. Because if anybody's child was hurt, if any harm came their way, then it shouldn't matter who that child belongs to. Do y'all see what I'm saying? So when I hear the same people saying, "Oh, well, this the scum of the earth because we believe that you got this going on," but then you got these, it's the same thing. So how can it be okay for this one because you support him, but this one over here you saying that that's the scum of the earth, and it's the same people. This is literally why I have been sitting here quiet because I'm like, I can't believe this mess. I can't. And then I sit back and I watch the master puppeteers in the middle just dangling, little strings hanging, just dangling. And I'm like, still at the end of the day, y'all, who people are on YouTube, who's related to who, like none of that stuff matters at the end of the day. I mean, it literally does not matter. It has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. It has nothing to do with what's going to happen with the outcome of things. Like, none of that matters. None of it matters. Say it, Dom. Say it. Say it. I'm this is just the stuff that I'm looking at and just everything to me. I'm like I said, I come from a different place when it comes to this because to me, where I'm from, not my neighborhood, but from where I'm from, like a sin is a sin. So if you committing crimes, you committing crimes. Where I'm from, everybody them look the same. It don't say that and I just everything about it, I just see hypocrisy like all the way around. Like everything is it's just a bunch. It's just a bunch of bull. It's a bunch of bull. I we have to be honest. If you feel like you have a problem, or if somebody that you know has a problem, you got to be realistic about that. There's nothing wrong with saying that somebody has a problem. Some people don't feel like their problems are that deep. Like I said, I heard people say, yeah, I'm a freak. That's what they chop it up to, being a freak. But if your freakiness cross certain lines, certain boundaries, then you got to accept what comes along with that too. Because there is a lot of manipulation taking place. And again, it's all the way around. You got people sitting up here with the girl, society failed, his friends failed. Hold up. Ugh. The parents failed, his family failed, his parents. Did you say that he failed himself too? Hold on, let me see. Have a good night. So I guess this my thing. I'm not going after anybody because me myself, I realize that there is trauma all the way around. And I also believe that in the midst of this, that there is a lot of trauma bonding. There is a lot of trauma bonding. This is why some of these people are still connected. It's not about people having Stockholm syndrome, it's about people trauma bonding. Because in most of these situations, a lot of these people came from families that were already dysfunctional. And dysfunctional tends to attract dysfunction. So this is what you're seeing a lot of. It's not about, oh, well, I'm just identifying with the person that hurt me. No, it's not about that. It's not about that. You have people that have been through situations and they feel like somebody else has gone through something similar to what they have gone through. This is how people are able to connect. I heard the conversation about the grooming and things like that. It's it's not even so much about grooming. It's being able to build a rapport with the person that you are trying to talk to, or that the person that you may be interested in. So if there's some type of conversation that you can have with somebody that will help reach them, like let's say this young lady, you both got a love for basketball. That's the conversation that you usually end up having. Those are kind of conversations that start. I'm not saying that's what happened to them. I'm using that as an example. Um, I mean, you just like that's the way stuff starts, and then you say, "Well, this happened to you. Oh, well, this happened to me. Well, we're gonna talk about this." Here's my thing, and I never get into the parent thing and all that. I absolutely do believe that every single one of these parents need to be held accountable. I absolutely do. I stay out of that. These are the ones that I feel need to be held accountable. Listen, listen. If your child is away from you for 2 or 3 days and you can't say specifically where your child is, that's a problem. I'm not talking about 18, 19 years old, they going up to college. I'm not talking about that. You got a preteen, a teen child, a child that's still in school. Your child gone for a day, your child gone for 2 days, your child gone for 3 days, and you don't know where your child is. And if this stepping on somebody's toes, I ain't apologizing because I'm so serious right now. You don't know where your child is, you don't know what your child got going on. That's a problem. Now, here's something for parents. When your child is going, especially like what this young lady was saying she was going through, y'all don't think that that young lady started going through some changes? She started acting different at home. When a younger person is dealing with a grown man, their attitude changes. Dom K, they do it down here too. The truancy officer is calling. They coming. They coming. So it's just certain things. I feel like in some situation, and I want to be clear about this because, I had stuff going on with me and my mama didn't know because it was all about the way that I held it. But my mom was working two jobs, right? So I'm not saying that there are not, extenuating circumstances, but what I'm saying is my mom always knew where I was at. It wasn't me running off and something happened. This person came in my house and violated me. When your child is missing, and I'm saying missing, they ain't in your house. It's not enough to say, oh, well, I'd be at such and such house for 3 days. You don't know what your child got going on. And see, it's a little bit, and I, this is, if you find out or you even think that someone did something to your child, if you even think that somebody did something to your child and you still allow your child to be around that person, now I'm holding you responsible. To me, you're just as responsible to the person as the person that's being alleged of doing this stuff. Because if you found out, you know for sure, or even you even speculate, that's your child. Your job as that parent is to make sure that no hurt, harm, or danger comes to your child. So it doesn't matter who you're dealing with. If there is, and we got to be honest about some things now. There are certain things, again, that intuition. You get blessed with something. You get feelings that something isn't right. You start looking at the child like, what you got going on? Like, what's the deal? Why you away so much? Where you getting this money from? That should have been the first question. Where you getting money from? And I'm these are the things that bother me because I'm right, Lavelle, whether it's family, whoever, right, T-Ron, it didn't matter whatever job my mama was working. Let me tell y'all something, and it was just my mama. She was on it. Shoot, even when she wasn't there, we were scared because we just felt like she was gonna know what we had going on. It's just certain things to me. I don't get into the chants and doing all that stuff. It's just I'm looking and I'm like, none of it makes sense to me. None of it makes sense. So I am at a point, and like I said, I've been minding my business. I do feel you hold everybody accountable, and I want to be clear on this. I ain't excluding him because if what this girl said is true, you hold his butt accountable. I, I'm sorry, hold his butt accountable. That's get them all together and hold them all accountable. Don't give anybody immunity. Don't give anybody a pass so you can try to get this one. No, you hold them all accountable for their actions. That's just that's just what it is. I know by the time I get off here, my little subscriber count gonna be going down. I can't even be concerned about that. Right, Tirana. Right, 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 right. Whatever he got, give it to them too. Because in actuality, you trafficking your child. You prostituting them out. And here's the thing, that cousin that I told you guys about, me and her went through the same thing with my cousin, her uncle, and I was gonna get her to come on here and tell her story, and we still gonna do it. I know, I know, I have seen it with my own eyes that there are parents that will sell their kids depending on what they need. I know. My cousin got sold, and it wasn't even for money. It was for drugs. So we can't act like this stuff does not happen. I do. I think everybody need to go. I do. I do. And when I say everybody, let me be clear on something. You got grown people that were in this situation. When I say everybody needs to go, if they were involved with a child, if they contributed to it, if they assisted in it, then yeah, I think they need to go. I think they need to go. I do. I do. If you helped arrange travel, you transporting, whatever the situation may be, if it involves someone that was underage, I ain't got nothing to do with these grown folks and what they got going on. That's your business. That's your situation that you decided to get yourself into. If it was somebody underage, like this young lady and the stuff that she's saying, I think everybody involved needs to go. Even down to what's his name, Mr. Hankerson, old girl's uncle. And the mom, if she had something to do with it, and like everybody, just if they had any involvement in somebody's child being hurt or harmed, then they need to go. They need to go. Now this is I guess an exclusive from my page because Doc don't talk about this stuff because I'm not trying to get into any back and forths with anybody about what I feel about a situation. And I could go deeper than this, but my thing is we not ready for that. We're not ready for that on YouTube. Um, right, Urban, nobody's a saint. He said himself. Um, but I'm oh no, I never said free anybody, Angela. Only person you heard me say free was Rodney Reed. I never said free anybody. I never got into those conversations. Only person I said to free was Rodney Reed. That was a person that they were trying to give to execute um, for a crime that they know he did not commit. Um, And that's why I talk about other cases because I'm able to speak on those cases without having to do all the extra. Now, I don't want anybody to get it twisted because I am not against the person that we are talking about, but I don't agree with his actions. I don't agree with his actions. And I've said from the beginning that he has made a lot of poor decisions. I never backtrack on that. I never backtrack on that. And I also recognize that when this thing happened so many years ago, that the reason that he got off was because this young lady did not testify. Like officially, she did not testify. So now that she's here, it kind of puts things in a different perspective, I would think, because had she testified back then what would people be saying? Had she testified back then, even his fate would have been different because, in all honesty, if she testified back then and what she's saying is true, all his stuff would have been done and over with. He would have been out chilling. So I don't. That's why I don't agree with people coming after her. I don't know about that. I it's just hard because you see the good in people. You see the good in people. You know that everybody has good in them, and you know the situations, part of the situations that people come from. And honestly, in the place where he is right now, he's going to get the help that he wouldn't get on the outside that he refused to get. I don't know, but he's going to get it there versus he's going to get it there. um, and that's not something to laugh at. It's like sometimes certain things may have to happen in order to get you to open your eyes to get you where you need to be for you to even acknowledge that you need some help. Tirana, she said that she was tired, that she had been lying for all these years, and she was tired of holding on to the lie. She was exhausted. She said she was exhausted. And, she also said that she was granted immunity. So, of course, there was some conversation somewhere, um, so that she wouldn't be charged with perjury for lying before. So it's like, you gonna get up here and talk, or are you ready to deal with this? And so you gotta pick your battles. Like you love somebody, how much do you love them? You love them enough to go ahead and do this time because you got people that love people like that. Now you love them enough to go ahead and do this time right here when we hit you with these perjury charges. Like where you fall at? Because if we get you, we're gonna get you and your mama for lying. It's kind of and it's like hate to say it, but if your daddy was here, we get your daddy too. But he's not here, but we got y'all too. We're gonna get both of y'all for lying. So I honestly don't think she had well, you always have a choice. You always have a choice, but um, it's just a bad situation. It's a bad situation, and oh, you gonna protect your mama. You gonna protect your mama. I mean, that's what people do. You try to protect your parents unless they did something to you specifically, and you're literally coming after them. You're gonna protect your parents, especially your mama. You're gonna protect her. You know. And if you feel like they're not gonna come after you, like you gonna get a pass, like okay, I'm gonna get up here, but shoot, I'm gonna make sure my mama good when I get up here. So what's going on, TJ? I don't I don't know. I didn't hear anything about her mom taking a stand. Um, I know, like I said, I have been listening to the reading on at Miss Love's page, and um I don't if she did, I don't know. I didn't get to hear it all yesterday. Um so I don't know who all's reading it, but I know that they're reading like the full thing over there. So, and I think they're doing something else tonight. They stopped at a certain point today. I think he said, what time is it? I think he said they may be coming back at 10. And they're gonna do some more. They're like breaking it down. Um, I'm appreciating it because at this point, if somebody can read the information, because they have different people reading it and they're taking turns reading it. If somebody can read it without all the extras in it, so that people can like really understand what they're saying, I can appreciate that. Tirana, I don't believe that's true. Somebody put that out there, but I don't believe it's true. And one reason I would say that I don't believe it's true is because they wouldn't have any way of knowing. Nobody would know. If she was doing it, they wouldn't know. Boston, have a good night. Today was the first day I actually heard somebody say that. Um, but I think they still had a decent I think they still had a decent relationship because I think Dom just mentioned it. There was something where when the documentary came out, like she supposedly texted him and told him to keep his head up or some stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. The situation that she's in now, I feel like she was forced. They forced her hand, and I mean, what can you say? Like, all right, Dom, have a good one. Like, you could you didn't say anything then, so now like they forcing your hand. How do you know what's true with their stories? I thought the tape was fake. Um, who was that? TJ. So yeah, I saw it. Don't let the devil get to you. Um, so in the what was being read today, when one of the people that was on the stand was the detective, before all of this stuff kicked off, before it became a thing. And the detective that initially got the anonymous tip that something was going on, and um, he researched what was going on. He went and interviewed her and her mom, and they both denied that anything happened. So he couldn't go any further with it. And this was like in 2000, I think, like December 2000. Anyway, by that February, and I could be getting the story, part of the story wrong, but um, they didn't do anything with it because she said nothing happened. So Jim Derogatis ended up getting the tape to him, and he looked at the tape in its entirety, and he recognized her um, on, on the tape after meeting with her and her mom. Um, Right, that was 2019. Well, I'm talking about with the police officer, with the detective, this was 2000. This happened back in 2000. Um, so that's when stuff like started kicking off with this whole thing. and that was before the tape thing became a thing. So he said he went back to try to talk to them, and he couldn't have, like, basically they didn't want to talk to him, or whatever. But she denied that it was her that was on there. But um, me personally, TJ, I don't get into like the conspiracies and stuff. Well, you got like fake gate and all this kind of stuff. Um, as many people claim, like before all this took place, as many people claim to see him on the tape with a younger person, um, people that don't know each other, people like, oh, that's the thing. So if it wasn't her, then who? His job, his attorney's job, is to try to get that jury to believe, especially in this particular case. I mean, because you're dealing with obstruction. Um, was that even real? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they're gonna go with that. That's what they're supposed to do. Lord, but I guess my thing is, I'm not even concerned about. My concern at this point is, did you or why would you harm that 14-year-old? Like that's the thing. And I don't I like I said, I haven't seen any tapes. I can't tell you who is on what. I don't know. I heard that they were showing some stuff today, but I can tell you that the detective that saw that video back in 2000 alleged that it was him and her on that tape, and that's when they followed up with you know, pursuing whatever they chose to pursue at that particular time. Brenda, hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Got a certified diamond in the chat. That was the deciding factor in them proceeding with pressing charges against him back then. So I don't know. Like I said, I take that back to again to poor decision making, because he definitely had a history of filming some of his interactions. And again, then we go back to the stuff that he alleged happened to him when he was younger. You had stuff going on in the house, and he was asked to film and take pictures or record people and sexual acts and stuff. And now you got stuff running into adulthood. I thought the detective from the first case said it was that. No, 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 no. Not from what I heard today. Not from what I heard today. Um, it's it's a sad situation. It's definitely a sad situation. People got it accept. Hold on. People got it accept. We on some tape now. We don't know what's on tape, but he takes her down and yeah, that's that's one of the things that's coming back to bite him in the butt. The fact that he liked to record stuff. Um, so it's coming to bite him in the butt now. Again, even in this trial, even with the stuff that the young lady said, he is still innocent until proven guilty. He is still innocent until proven guilty in this case. Um, So you basically have to see what happens in this particular case. Sugar baby, I'm pretty sure people did, and I don't know if you guys remember that at some point, Ayana Van Zant, she's a life coach like I am. Um, she had talked about possibly working with him before, and she said that he wanted her to come to his house, and she basically said she wasn't going to do it because he didn't want to put in the work, and that basically means you're not owning up. You not ready. Like you want to come and you want to talk, but you don't really get want to get down to the nitty gritty, like what's really going on, what's causing this stuff. Because whether you're getting coaching, whether you're getting therapy, there is a bit of reality, and especially for me, everything I do is based on reality therapy, William Glasser. So you're gonna have to be honest about your situation and what you got going on for us to even move forward. And I don't know, what tenets she based her stuff on, but there has to be a willingness to be open and honest about what's going on for it to do anything for you. And that's what I'm saying. If you haven't accepted what happened to you and how it may have affected you, then you can go to therapy. But therapy is only going to do so much because you haven't been honest with yourself about the stuff that's affecting you and how it may be affecting you. And some people, they have that mental block. And that's another thing that I think people overlook when it comes to his situation. Again, when I talked about that victimization, because it is true, research shows dealing with this type of situation shows that some people go through certain experiences that are so traumatic to them that they stay stuck mentally at the age that they were at the time of that experience. I feel like he falls in that category, but that's just me. That's just me. But I feel like he falls into that category. And I feel like he is able to identify more so with younger people. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he can talk to grown people all day, but I feel like he is able to identify more with younger people on certain things, and that's how you can sit there and have long conversations on the phone with a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old. Um, it happens. It happens. Again, what I'm saying is not law. These are just my opinions. I just felt like today, coming more so from a clinical standpoint, not necessarily from no feelings or anything like that. It's just, oh, if you ever got that. Dom K, you may be right too. Because a lot of people make the best music, it produce some of the best stuff out of pain. That's true. Whether it be music, poetry, writing a book, writing a story, whatever. A lot of people, they work through their pain. So, um, I don't know, but like I said, for me, I'm not on a bashing train or a bashing campaign or anything like that because, like I said, for me, I can't even talk. I recognize victimology, um, all the way around, and I know people say that things don't matter. They matter. Things do matter. Um, when things aren't resolved, they matter. I see people saying, "Oh, well, this young lady, I know she hasn't dealt with this, and it's going to be a lifelong thing that she's dealing with." And when it came to other people, yeah, they're going to have to deal with this, and they've dealt with this all their lives. We cannot see that and not see all the stuff that this one over here went through, and how he got to deal with his stuff too. Everybody, right, right. Everybody, like at this point, like they all got soul ties. Like everybody has some stuff that they have to deal with. As far as the attorneys and all that stuff, listen, his attorney got to go and do whatever she does. Now, she did have me a little tickle when they were doing the reading today because she was trying to go after the expert witness and she was questioning his PhD. And I got tickled. Do you have a PhD? Well, are you a doctor? Are you a doctorate? No, he's not a doctorate. He has a doctorate. But she was, well, I mean, like, do you have a PhD? And he's sitting there like, what you talking about? What you talking about? I mean, and then what she was trying to say is, do you have a PhD or do you have a PsyD when it comes to psychology? But different degrees with doctoral degrees. People don't realize, game real quick. People don't realize that when it comes to being called doctor, PhD was the original degree before MD, before DDS, before ED, before any of this other stuff. The PhD was the original degree. So if you did not have a PhD, then you were not considered a doctor. Years went by. You had people in Italy and different places. The doctors had master's degrees. That's what they were operating on. So then times started changing and people started coming up with these other degrees. But the PhD is the original degree that makes you a doctor because you had to do the research. So now she's asking him, fast forward to today, she's asking him about what he had. Do you have a PhD or a PsyD? Where she was trying to go with that, PhD is more research based. Your research teachers more kind of science based versus this PsyD. PsyD is you can do other things, but it's basically a clinical degree. So the stuff that you have to do in this program with that PhD, with this deep dissertation and doing all this stuff is different in another program where you're not actually research based. So she was trying to take away from the fact he said he had a PhD. So she was trying, oh, well, you don't have a PsyD, then you're not clinical. PSYD, PsyD, the psychology degree. For the purposes of what she was asking him, especially when she was talking about the statistics and all that stuff, you right on point with him. You got the right one for that because as a person with a PhD, that's what he went to school for, to be able to answer those research questions and go and do literature reviews, literary reviews, and go and find the articles that he needs to go and do this stuff and put this research out there. Okay. As far as the clinical part, he has that PhD, he has his license, he can still practice. That's the thing. You can still practice. So you have people on the clinical side, a lot of people, especially ones that work for like government agencies, a lot of them have PsyDs. You have college professors, instructors, researchers, analysts, those kind of things. We got PhDs. That's where that came in at. So she tried to trip him up with that. And I'm sitting here laughing because I can only imagine his face like, what is this woman talking about? I got a doctorate. What you mean? She wasn't fully, she ain't really know. She didn't really know, like she didn't know how to put that all together. Um, so that was a little funny. She did get up on their skin a little bit. I could tell, with all the questioning, because you don't want people to like keep questioning your credentials. Like she was like, "Oh, you only been licensed, or you only been practicing for 13 years? What you mean only 13 years? Lady, 3 years of practicing is a long time." But I'm laughing because she was doing her job. That's her job. Her job is to go and try to, I don't want to say demonize, but she gotta, you're not credible. That's what she gotta make the jury think. Yeah, you coming up here talking all that yin yang. Y'all know people like to say they quack doctors. You talking all that stuff, you're not credible. So that's what her job was. So she did her job. So, and on the other side, these lawyers are gonna lawyer. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're getting paid for. These lawyers are gonna lawyer. So it's not something to even get mad about. They are doing what they are getting paid to do at the end of the day. Um, you got to be a little feisty sometimes. You got to be a little spicy sometimes. You got to, in these type of situations, the nice guy finish last. So Going there, "Hi, how are you? How's everything going? Yeah, doing all the yeah, that's not it's not gonna work." So, that's I kinda got a little tickled, with that, but me personally, um I'm enjoying the reading, just being able to, just sit back and chill and listen, um, but it's still troubling that at the end of the day, if it is a possibility, if it's even possible that those things happen to that young lady at that age, that's not something that should be overlooked. No matter how much you care about somebody, no matter how much you support, no matter how much you love somebody, that's not something that should be overlooked, regardless of, again, like I said earlier, regardless of whose child it is. And I think the thing that makes it so easy for people to overlook certain things is because now they see a grown woman. They see a 37-year-old woman, so that's a grown woman. But you got to realize at this point, both. If it's true, if those things are true, both. The thing is, in the situation that he's in now, he's gonna get both. He'll get both. Um, right, right, right. Just a bad situation. It's just a bad situation. Just just a bad situation. And just thinking about just a bad situation. Um, they actually have a program for those types of offenders. There's a specific program. There's a S offender program um, inside that inside that system. If you're not at one of those locations that have that specific program, then you'll just go through regular CBT or REBT. It just depends on whatever that psychologist chooses to use or a combination of. Um, but a lot of the facilities, a few actually have that specific program, especially for those individuals. So, and that's all I can say on that. That's all I can say on that. Um, I think everybody needs to go. Everybody needs to be working with somebody. All of them. All of them. Because I think that everybody has learned um, how to be master manipulators. It's not even a point of them being narcissists. All of them have learned how to manipulate others. All of them have learned how to manipulate others, whether it's the youngins or the parents, all of them. All of them need to go, and some of them need to be participating in family therapy in order to mend some of the brokenness, some of the dysfunction that they have going on, and understand that a lot of that dysfunction started way before that man ever came into play. Because of that dysfunction helped allow some of this stuff to happen because the dysfunction that was already there wasn't addressed. So I feel like a lot of people need to go, especially people that had parents that were involved. Y'all all need to get together because at the end of the day, I feel like for all of them, there's going to be some type of, whether it's pent up or not, there's going to be some anger. There's going to be some resentment. So I think all of them need to go. Shoot, by the time this stuff over, the attorneys and the judge probably need to have some counseling. All of them gonna need some counseling. The supporters gonna need counseling. The people that's against folks gonna need counseling. I'm gonna need some counseling. Everybody is gonna need some counseling by the time all this stuff is over, because it's just a lot. It's a lot. And again, I would encourage people, instead of trying to go after other people and doing all this arguing and all this fussing and blaming this one and blaming that one, to just really look at Sugar Baby, the crickets too. Yeah, the crickets too. They gonna need some counseling. Let's see. I guess. Hold on, Michelle. I guess I do understand how he's the only person that's held accountable for any of these allegations. Why I know he made that decision, but I will not leave him. Michelle, that's what we were talking about. If you support somebody, you can still support somebody and not like the decisions that they made. But I think we agree. Well, I don't know if from the people that I saw in the chat, um, for the most part, it seems like everybody agrees that you hold him accountable, you need to hold everybody accountable. Nobody should be exempt. It doesn't matter who it is. Nobody should be exempt. Nobody should get any free passes. Nobody should get immunity. Nobody. But we know in these situations, that's how it works. People get passes. If you go and say this, then you get a pass. And in a situation like that, when it's involving, I'm just going to speak on this particular female, when it's involving a situation like that, if you're really that concerned about what happened to her, then why are you giving passes to anybody? No passes. I don't care. Auntie, grandma, granddaddy, the person mowing the lawn, whoever has some involvement in any kind of way, everybody, everybody needs to be held accountable. I guess I don't. Oh shoot. Ugh. I guess I don't understand how he's the only person held accountable. I mean, yeah, that's Michelle, and that's how a lot of stuff goes sometimes. When people want to get the big fish, a lot of the little fish get to swim away free in order for them to get that big fish. But I'm a firm believer that at the end of the day, they might not have gotten you in that particular situation, but you still gonna be held accountable. You still gonna be held accountable one way or the other. You're gonna be held accountable for your actions. Even if, for some people, you got people, their relationships are so broken, like they're irreparable. And there's just no relationship there anymore. Like we've seen it. Um, you don't have that, you just don't have that relationship. Some people that might have been around and saw things and didn't say anything, they got all kind of crazy stuff going on in their lives, and they wondering like, why is this stuff happening? Because when stuff come back on you, you have no say so in how it comes back on you. And we're gonna keep it real. Even the people that were doing stuff to him, because he had people doing stuff to him, like all the way around. Whatever you did, it's gonna come back on you one way or the other. If you were stealing, it's gonna come back on. If you were trying to extort people, if you bribing people, like whatever you had going on, whatever your pleasure was, like it's gonna come back on you, and it may not come back on you in this setting, but that doesn't mean it's not coming, one way or the other. And that's just life. That's life. So I'm just I don't know, but I'm going to hear the other part of the reading. Um, the rest of it that they're going to do for tonight, and I'm listening to it over there because I don't want all the theatrics and all that extra stuff. I just want to hear, um, I just want to hear what's going on. I don't want to get into all that. I ain't trying to hear all the begging and borrowing, and I'm not trying to hear all that. I just want to hear what's going on so I can get my own understanding um, about what's happening or whatever. So that's what it is. Um, oh, I forgot about that. And his wife. Let's speak on that really quickly. Let's speak on that. And I'm gonna get off here so I can go watch the rest of this. Um, his wife, and we just gonna make this quick. Yeah, she need to be sitting right there with him. If he's sitting in there, she need to be sitting right there with him. And I know people are talking about being complicit. It's not about being complicit. I feel like she was involved. That's my opinion. I don't. And according to stuff that has been said, I mean, she there's child. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. Yeah, no immunity, no nothing. Mm-mm. Because again, if you sitting up there, even down, child, don't get me started. Because I said I wasn't gonna get all involved in this stuff. Yeah. Um, if you did something to harm a child, an underage child, then whatever your fate is, whatever they say his fate is gonna be, then that needs to be your fate as well. Period. And you might be a reformed person, you might be a changed person, you love God and everything. That don't mean nothing. If one get held accountable, everybody needs to be held accountable. No free passes. All right, y'all. With that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this live. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. I'm gonna run over here so I can see what's going on with the rest of the what happened today, so I can hear the reading over on Atmos's page. Um, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. If I lost some subscribers, I'm sorry. I still love y'all, but I just got to be honest. So, it is what it is. If you would like to become a certified dime, become a member today. And with that being said, guys, if you didn't get anything else out of this today, remember this one thing, two things. Number one, it's okay to love someone and not love their actions. It's okay. Number two, mind your business. It don't cost you a thing. It's okay to have an opinion, but don't get involved in other people's stuff and get yourself caught up in something that you don't need to be caught up in. So until next time, deuces. See you guys later. Bye.